Welcome to River Hills. We are so glad you're joining us today. Today we have a special guest speaker, my best friend, Clayton Hentzel from The Crossing, and you are going to be inspired. You're going to be challenged. So grab your sermon notes, grab your Bible, grab someone to watch or listen with you. Here we go.
Well, thank you so much for having me. We are big fans of River Hills. Our church and River Hills partner in a bunch of different ways. One of them is through the Uncommon Conference, which I think a group of our guys were just out here a while back, and I hope you guys were a part of it. And if you weren't, I hope you guys will come and be a part of it in the future. I have 1,000 memories with the River Hills staff, specifically Matt and Lindley, Will and Levi, but also we got Johnny, and you guys have Mike Nolan. Good grief, my head just started to, I need to stay on script. But to give you an understanding of the closeness and affection that I have for Matt and Lindley, when Matt and Lindley, they found each other in Bible college, and I could not find anybody who'd want to spend the rest of their life with me when I was in Bible college. And so I was the third wheel. We were a tricycle, and that's what we were. And I was the big wheel, and they were the two small wheels in the back. And when Matt, and yeah, I outweigh both of them, and combined. And when Matt got engaged, I was trying to think, what is something that I could do for Matt that would be a blessing that he could carry on for the rest of his life? And so what I decided to do is I took his fiance, and then I went and got engagement pictures with his fiance. That was my gift to them on their wedding, was framed pictures to put around their house. So that way when people would come over, they would see another man doing pictures with his wife. And I thought that'd be a great conversation starter. Okay. I'm so glad you're here, and I mean that. Now, this sermon might be the most hated sermon you will ever hear. Turn to your neighbor and say, it's gonna be depressing. Turn to your second favorite neighbor and say, and a little boring. It's gonna be depressing and a little boring. I'm telling you up front what to expect, so that way when you walk out of here, you go, yeah, he was right. It was a little depressing and it was a little boring. We're in this series called Better because everybody wants to have a better family. I've never met anybody who says, we're hoping things get worse. Everybody wants it to be just a little bit better, and we want to win at home, but many of us don't know how. Some of you weren't raised in a Christian family, and so you don't know how to raise a Christian family. Some of you didn't grow up with a good father as a role model, so you don't know how to be a good role model as a father. Everybody wants to be better, but not everybody knows how to win at home. Why invest so much in this series, and I'm thankful that River Hills is doing so, is because River Hills cares about your family. The family is the backbone of every civilization. Destroy the family, you destroy the nation. Second reason why they're investing in this sermon series is because your family has an enemy, Satan, a spiritual enemy who takes no days off, who takes pride and joy at the destruction of the peace that should be exhibited in your home. But however, the good news is while we have an enemy, we also have a protector, a provider, and a savior, and a redeemer. That's the meaning behind kintsugi, where you can take the broken pieces, and when God is done restoring the family, it almost is as if it is better than when it first began. That God can redeem things in such powerful ways that the finished product looks like something so much more spectacular than what was originally there. Today, we are gonna focus in on something that is impacting every single one of us. Almost everybody is aware of it, but not taking the steps necessary to address it. We're gonna talk today about glowing rectangles. When I was growing up, we had choices. I'm gonna date myself, but just because I'm old doesn't mean I'm not good looking. But I'm gonna date myself. When we were growing up, there were choices in our house. For instance, we had one phone, and it was on the kitchen wall. And we had choices. Are we gonna get the 15-foot cord or the 60-foot cord? We made the choice to get the 60-foot cord, which meant that when mom was vacuuming in another room in the house, everybody was trying to jump over it as they moved through the house. And then there was another choice, and I don't want to brag about how rich we are, but we upgraded and got call waiting. For those of you who don't understand, sometimes we'd be on the phone with you, and then there'd be a beep, beep, and we would have the privilege of saying, hold on a second, somebody else would like to speak with me. Please hold. Hello? I'm on the other line. I don't like to brag, but it's true. If you were super wealthy, you got an additional line in the house. So you had 2 phone numbers. It's pretty special. Then we had the cordless phone. That was we saved for that one. That was a Christmas present for the whole family. So you could walk anywhere you wanted to in the house and be on the phone. Then there were conversations in my house about TV. We never had cable, so we watched whatever NBC told us we could watch. But there were some families, I heard rumors, there were some people who could afford cable. It must have been fantastic. Then there was conversations about, could you put the TV in the kids' room? Or was it just gonna be in the living room? And how many rooms in the house there were choices that took place. Then the internet came. I was around when the internet came, and you got so many minutes of download time, and it took a while to download stuff, and you couldn't sneak onto the internet. Okay, on the count of 3, we're all gonna make the noise that we thought it made, okay, because I'm not gonna make it, I want you to make it. You should be embarrassed too, okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay, you know what the internet sounds like now? That. But those of you who know, you're like, yeah, you couldn't sneak on late at night and hop on. There were conversations about whether or not everybody was gonna get a computer in their room. When color printers came out with like the little tracks and dots along the side, my dad was making happy birthday posters for everybody, but it took you like a half hour to read it. Happy birthday. Like it was just strung around the whole house. You had to find the big wall to put the whole thing up on. It was a big deal. Then there were conversations about not just whether or not a person was gonna have a computer, but about gaming devices. Were we gonna let you get a PlayStation or a PlayStation 2, a Sega Genesis? There was all these conversations. My parents said no to all of it. I had to wait till I was a junior in college to buy a PlayStation 2. You're looking at somebody who never had a Game Boy. When I got in the car with my parents, you know what we did? This is gonna freak some of you out. We talked. I was raised different. Now, when you give your kid a phone, you are giving your kid everything I just mentioned: a way to talk, a way to email, a way to research stuff online, a way to watch videos, play games. You used to be able to protect your family from the things that were happening in the big cities on the coast, but now they have access to it all the time. There used to be a moment where if you wanted the bad stuff, you had to go into the video store and you had to go into the back room that had a camera that was watching to make sure you were old enough. If you wanted stuff that you could read that was bad, you had to go to the gas station and you had to talk to the person at the counter for them to reach back and get the thing that was in the black plastic bag. And now it is sent to them on their phone, and now some of them send that stuff off of their phone. Jesus uses a perfect illustration of what it's like to lead through all of this change. Matthew chapter 9 says, "No one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment, for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst. The wine will run out and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved." In other words, the new patch of technology will not work with the parenting styles of our parents. The newness of technology will burst our old parenting techniques. Too much has changed, and hear me, River Hills, too much is at stake. We need new methods. While our desires may be the same, we must recognize that we are not growing up in the world that we grew up in, or our kids are not growing up in the world that we grew up in. God gives every Christian clear instructions about how we are to parent and protect our kids. One of them is Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Many of you know it. Above all else, guard your heart. For everything you do flows from it. If you were to give yourself a grade today as a parent, how well are you doing at guarding the heart of your kid? We must become committed to guarding our hearts and their hearts. There is way too much at stake. I regularly hear parents talking about their frustration with social media. There is plenty to be frustrated by. In fact, for the next couple minutes, like I said, it's gonna be depressing and boring. I'm gonna do something that probably hasn't ever happened before at your church, because it's never happened at my church either until I did it. I'm gonna recommend you read a book written by an atheist. And I mean this, you should read this book. Now, there's some things inside of this book. The book is Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt. He is a social psychologist and researcher who did a deep dive on what was happening in America. And what he found is what I'm gonna unpack over the next 10, 15 minutes. Now, there's things in there because he's an atheist that makes him stupid. For instance, so I want you to know that I'm saying this before you read it so you don't think that there's confusion. Like there's things that he says in there like, you guys should have a conversation about how much porn your kids should watch, which the Christian answer is zero. Zero porn is how much our kids should watch. He kind of leaves that open-ended, which is completely dumb. But the rest of the stuff he says in there is unbelievable. As an atheist, he even devotes an entire chapter to the spiritual emptiness that is happening in America. Even he recognizes that there is something spiritual that is broken, that there's something spiritual in us that is not being fed. I mean this when I say I want you to read this book. I had our entire staff purchase this book, told everybody who works for me, you need to read this book, and I did the same thing to our church. His major contention in the book is that our kids are overprotected in the real world and not protected enough in the digital world. And I can't unpack it all in this sermon, which is why I'm telling you I want you to read it. Let me be more serious. High school students, you need to know what's happening to you. Read this book. College kids, you need to know what kind of world you're gonna live in. You should read this book. Don't have kids yet? You need to start thinking about the decisions you're gonna make when you have kids. Parents, you need to read this book because you need to make adjustments and you need to make them quickly. Grandparents, you need to know what has happened to your kids and your grandkids. We all see it. We all know that there is something wrong in us and in our kids and in the world around us. Many of us recognizes that devices are affecting us. However, until I read this book, I did not realize how bad it had become. We're gonna put a picture up, figure 1-6. And I'm gonna show you a bunch of slides after this, but what I want you to pay attention to is this purple sliver, that bar that goes all the way up and down. This bar on every single slide represents the time span since the introduction of the smartphone and social media. And what you're gonna see happen inside of that sliver of time and what you're gonna see on the other side or on the right side as you're looking at the screen is gonna be alarming. It's gonna be depressing. Figure 1-1, since the introduction of smartphones and social media, depression among teens has skyrocketed. Have you noticed that the news has regularly zoomed in on the state of college students? We'll look at what's happened to them in figures 1-2. Anxiety and depression are through the roof. Almost every category is up. Schizophrenia up 67%, substance abuse 33%, anorexia up 100%, bipolar disorder up 57%, ADHD is up 72%, depression is up 106%, anxiety is up 134%. And if it was anything other than our smartphones, you would quit whatever it was. You'd make radical changes immediately. Is this just happening in our kids? No. Figure 1-3 shows that absolutely every category has gone up, except for the 50-plus crowd. Where's the 50-plus crowd at? You don't, too many of you are here. Second of all, you don't get any brownie points because the bottom line is you don't know your password and you haven't been able to log on, okay? I didn't know that I was gonna become Geek Squad for my parents as they got older. My dad has every version of his email that he could possibly have because it's easier to just start a new one than to try and recover all. It's a nightmare. I know you laughed and you should, but can I break your heart for just a second? What this means is that not only are your kids jacked up, they are being raised by jacked up parents. We are all affected. And this didn't exist 20 years ago. How bad is it? Let me just speak a word to the girl dads here. I know you've got the hat, maybe a cool shirt and a coffee mug, but I want you to pay attention to something. Social media is the worst thing that could happen to your daughter. Figure 1-4. As if this is not bad enough, suicide rates are up as well. Figure 1-5. Our kids are too connected in a virtual world where they're trying to measure up. Every time they hop on social media, they are bombarded with their social standing. How many friends and followers do they have compared to others? How many likes do their post get compared to theirs? How good is their life compared to mine? How nice are their outfits? How rich is their dad? How good is it going for them? And they can't measure up, and they can't keep up. Here's figure 6-4. This is the choice that a girl has before she posts. She can be the real version of herself, or she could just update it just a little bit with a filter. But the temptation to make it a little bit better takes her to the top right. And then she's like, you know what, I could do a little bit more. And then she goes to the top left. Now, it is becoming popular for girls to undergo plastic surgery to make their real bodies look like their filters, because they've been filtered for so long that they don't want to go out in public and people to notice the gap between who they became online and where they attracted their followers online and who they are in real life, which leads to anxiety and depression and not wanting to go out. Add to that our constant connectivity. My family has Life 360. It's awesome. I can tell, is my kid at the house that he said he was gonna be at? I love that. The problem is, I can also find out if they're going too fast in a car. It's great. But kids have allowed other kids to be able to have access to their 360, and so they are regularly aware of where all of their friends are, and how come all the friends are at somebody's house and I'm not invited? How did kids handle this? Well, they would decide if they were going over to a friend's house that they would all delete and turn off their 360 notifications. So now you didn't know where you are. So a kid sitting at home all of a sudden sees friends popping off the grid, and now they're wondering, where are they at and what are they doing and why didn't they invite me? You know what happened when I was growing up? If my friends were hanging out without me, guess what? I didn't know. I was at home doing chores. That's what I didn't know. Imagine having your best friend move across the street from you, and every day you see them hanging out with other friends and not you. It would drill a hole in your head. But your kids during their most vulnerable years are trying to figure out, how do I even navigate this? His contention is that kids have moved to a phone-based childhood, and it is destroying them mentally, relationally, and spiritually. The worst part is the social media companies know they are doing this. Francis Hagen, through the Facebook files, revealed that not only do they know that they are doing this, they are trying to get better at it. One training focused on the neuroscience of teenagers, and it explained the points of vulnerability during the maturation process of a teen, and how exactly app designers should exploit those to keep them on the app as long as possible. Here's the screenshot. Girl dads, imagine during the teenage years while your daughter is going through a host of hormonal changes, navigating zits and self-esteem issues, a Fortune 500 company put your daughter's face in the middle of a slide deck and said, how do we exploit her vulnerability? That is what they're doing. How are they doing it, you ask? They're doing it through something called the hook model. It begins with a trigger. An external notification pulls you out of reality. They get everybody else to get on the app, and so you feel pressured to join the app as well. Action, they get you to open the app. That's why every time you download something, it wants you to turn notifications on. And then variable reward. There's a comment on a post, a like, a feeling that draws you further in. They get you to make an investment, create a profile, add pictures, create posts, pick people to follow. Then you move internal. You want to know what's happening on the app, so you open it. And when do you open it? You open it all the time, everywhere. You don't even realize how many times you pick up your phone and check it out. So where do we do it? We do it in the bathroom, which is why people get hemorrhoids, at stoplights, in the drive-thru, in the car, at the dinner table. Last night I went to a nice restaurant and I just watched in the room. And people are at a nice restaurant and they're all doing this. How many of you have honked at somebody who cannot make it 30 seconds at a light? How many of you have been honked at? Don't raise your hand, we want to keep you here. You're in listen to this line. You're in a fast food restaurant line, and you cannot wait before you get your food. The moment you stop your car, you pull it up and you start scrolling. The genius behind their system is variable reward. It is important that the reward be variable because it is how you create, listen to this word, addiction. This is one of the key discoveries of behavioral psychology. It is best not to reward a behavior every time. If you reward an animal on a vario ratio schedule, 1 out of 10 times on average, sometimes fewer, sometimes more, you create the strongest and most persistent behavior. When you put a rat in a cage where it has learned to get food by pressing a bar, it gets a surge of dopamine in anticipation of the reward, the food. So it runs straight to the bar and it starts pressing. But if the first few presses yield no reward, that does not dampen the rat's enthusiasm. Rather, as the rat continues to press, dopamine levels go up in anticipation of the reward, which must be heightened levels of dopamine, which makes the rat continue to press and press and press until it gets it. And then once it does, and it continues, because after some unknown number of presses, it will get what it's looking for, so it just keeps pressing. There is no off-ramp in an app with a bottomless feed. There is no signal for us to stop, so we waste hours every day waiting for the next thing. How bad is it? And how bad do the technologies know, or the technology companies know that it is? Hear me. Technology company executives are hiring attention specialists to create algorithms to keep us and our kids scrolling, while at the same time not allowing their own kids to get on social media and sending them to no technology schools. So they are making money off of destroying your kids and using the money that they make destroying your kids to keep their kids from the very thing that they create. Proverbs 22 verse 6 says, "Start children off on the way they should go, and when they are old, they will not turn from it." Depending on what translation you grew up, you either heard "start children off" or "train children in the way." The Hebrew word there is hanak. Turn to your neighbor and say, hanak. Hanak. Hanak is to start your children off, to train your children. So how are you and I commanded by God to hanak our children? Deuteronomy chapter 6 tells us, you've heard this before, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength. These commandments that I give to you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home and when you walk along the road, when you lie down and when you get up. Tie them as symbols on your hands. Bind them on your foreheads. Write them on the doorframes of your houses and on your gates." He's saying anywhere and everywhere you go, cover them with the word and the direction of the Lord. But here's the tough question. Who is living this out best? Who is hanaking your family? You and the Lord, or social media and tech companies? It's as if they read that playbook and said, we're gonna start these children off. We're gonna bind them with these devices and they'll never be free. Social media companies and smartphones are robbing you of the precious time you have with your kids. And you might be thinking, because it happened at my church, there's some of you in here who are just addicted to being dumb, and you're going, we're gonna be different. We're gonna be the family that kind of just stays the same, and our life will be just radically different than everybody else's. And you might be, but I wouldn't risk it. I grew up poor, and so we lived in a vet clinic. My dad kind of wanted to be a debt-free guy, and so we lived in the 3 rooms next to his vet clinic while he was building his business. And my dad is an incredible veterinarian. People would fly in and have my dad take care of their animals. And one day, the Ringling brothers brought one of their cougars to my dad. I actually have a picture. Look at that. That is a cute kid. And there's a little baby cougar. And guess what we got to do? We got to bottle feed it. We took pictures with it. We played with it. I mean, I played with a cougar. It was amazing. However, guess what happened after that? The cougar went home with the crazy people. And we didn't have a cougar living in our house. Have you ever watched the videos, like the documentary that comes on? And it's like, these people bought a bear. And you know what's going to happen? You keep watching, because you're going, I bet he's going to eat him. It's going to happen. How many of us watch Tiger King? Oh, yeah. You're like, dude, he's going to gnaw on an arm today. I can feel it. I can see ribs on that tiger. There's people who are like, you know what? We started off with these little ball pythons. Those are so cute, but let's get a cobra. And we know how it all ends. The guy who gets the cobra ends up having the shriveled hand that doesn't work just right. He's like, what happened? You got bit by what? A cobra. Serves you right. That's what happens. When you put a bear in your house, eventually it's going to get hungry and it's going to take a bite out of you. And you've never cried at the end of one of those movies. Like, oh my goodness, I can't believe we lost him. You knew he was going to die. That chimpanzee was going to get strong. It was going to rip a face off. That's just what happens. When you let something crazy and dangerous into your home, eventually it will eat. And when we allowed devices into our home, we didn't know what we were letting in. But they eat. And they're eating our young. And they're eating us. You have so little time left with your family. I did some math, and it's preacher math, but it'll at least get you close. If you were to look at your child from kindergarten to age 12, you have 13 years with them. 4,745 days. That's 113,880 hours you have with your kid from kindergarten through 12th grade. And if you pay attention to your doctor and you do what you're supposed to do, you're gonna sleep 8 hours a day. You're like, oh my goodness, that sounds awesome. When people ask me like, Clayton, what do you do to stay so fit? Yeah, I sleep 8 hours a day. Which means that of the time you have left with your kids, pay attention to me, a third of it is gonna be you sleeping. Then when your alarm goes off and after you've hit snooze a couple times, you know what you do like I do? You brush your teeth, you put your pants on, and you're gonna go to work. And your kids go to school. And if you work 50 weeks a year with 2 weeks of vacation, that's 3,250 days at work, 26,000 hours, 1,083 total days. 1/4 of the total time you have left with your kids is gone because you're at work. 1/3 of it is gone because you are asleep, which means all you have left is this. That's all you have left with your kids. And this is how much of that is gonna be spent on the phone. Half of it. Half of the time that you have left with your kids is gonna be spent, and I know what you're thinking, my goodness, my kids are on their phone all the time. No. This is what parents are spending on their phone. We are blaming our kids for always being on devices, and they're looking at parents who would rather scroll than spend time with them. Their numbers are way worse. And I know what you're thinking. What's this jar, Clayton? What's this little guy? The average family goes to church 1.8 times a month. 21.6 weekends a year, 1.5 hours a week if you show up early and stay late, and you guys know that that's not who you are. Which means that there's a total of 421 hours that a church is gonna get with your kid from kindergarten through 12th grade, a total of 17 days. You think the church is gonna bring about the radical transformation? We would love more time with your kids, but we can't beat your phone. We can't beat the other investments that you make. Some of you are trying to make a professional soccer player and your kid's not that fast. Some of you want your kid to be a professional baseball player, but your kid can't throw. There's like a 0% chance your kid is gonna be a professional athlete and a 100% chance he's gonna need a relationship with Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior. And you want us to try and make that out of this? So, can I give you like 5 things I want you to do? Just pick like 2 of them. 1, I want you to be at the tech night that your church is offering. I want you to take a deep dive and go, what are the steps that we need to take? What are things that we need to be aware of? I have the tech people at my church help me figure out how to navigate tech because it's going too fast for me. Second thing, read the book and make a plan as a family. Have a meaningful dialogue with your spouse. What does this look like? Set limits on phone usage. Hear me. Not in the bedroom, not in car rides, not unlimited. When you get in the car with me, I say phones down. We're gonna talk. I want my kid to be able to talk to people, look adults in the eye, shake hands, say their name right. I want them to know how to do stuff around the house because I want them to have a wife who is actually happy to be married to them because they're useful. Delete social media for the next 21 days. Hear me, 14 of those days are going to, I'm saying this as if I was at my church, so just treat me with a home court advantage. 14 of those days are gonna suck. Do you know why they're gonna suck? Because you're addicted. and your body has to wean itself off of what it has become accustomed to. Which means your kids will be cranky, your wife will be cranky. It will not be good, but it will get better. You're like, but Clayton, what if something crazy happens? Yeah, they'll tell you. But it's gonna be my birthday, I'm gonna miss my pokes. Happy birthday. I'm saying happy birthday on behalf of everybody who knows you. You look great for however old you are. I hope you have another great year. What if something bad happens? We are so sorry. You don't have to post it. You can just call me. You can just talk to somebody. You don't have to let everybody know that you had a bad day at work. They don't actually care. They scrolled past it. We had a guy on staff who, when people said horrible things, he would just like their posts. That wasn't right. He doesn't work for us anymore. Okay, can I tell you one that, listen, this is gonna be crazy. Try this one. No technology nights as a family. Like come home and then go from like 6 to 9, no technology. And what I mean is no YouTube, no TV, no iPad, 6 to 8, nothing. And you know what you should do? Throw a ball. Make a meal. Wouldn't it be nice if your kids knew how to do something other than drive-through? Like teach them how to make a food so that way you could actually sleep in on a Saturday because they can make French toast. Okay, I've got, right now living in my house, I have a 14-year-old boy and a 12-year-old boy, and if you were to ask them what is their favorite nights in our house, guess what my kids will tell you? My kids will come to me and say, can we have a no technology night? They actually want to spend time with you. And as parents, we keep blaming them for always being on their phone, and they're going, but you don't even want to hang out with me. Give them something better. Go hit golf balls, go TP a neighbor, do something and make a memory. And when they're done, they have a skill, something that they can be proud of. My son regularly goes, Dad, try the eggs. Because he's learned how to get in the kitchen and make it, and he enjoys it. We have not figured it all out yet. But start having no technology nights in your home, and then at the end of it, go, hey, how was it? Spend an hour doing a Bible study with your family once a week. I'll tell you up front, that's the worst hour of my week, because my kids do not handle it well. But I would tell you it's the most important hour of my week. Because when my kids grow up and somebody says, who taught you the Bible? I don't want them to say their youth pastor. I want them to say my father. Who taught you how to handle the scriptures? My mother. Who taught you how to do this stuff? I didn't learn how to change a tire on YouTube. I learned it from my dad. I learned it from my mom. How'd you learn how to? I want them to learn all of that from me. I want time with them. And when I'm old, I'm not gonna go, I wish I had scrolled longer. Why am I talking about this sermon? I'll tell you. Because I have a core belief that the greatest thing that could ever happen to a human being is they encounter the living God through the person and the finished work of Jesus Christ. It absolutely changed me. And God did not send his son to die on the cross just to save you from hell, but to save you to a life with him, to a life that God describes, or Jesus describes, that is full and abundant. Which in my opinion is the opposite of scrolling, swiping, posting, and gaming. I think he came because there's more for us and more in us. He has put so much inside of you to learn and grow and explore and discover. You were made for more, and you are scrolling your life away. There might be some of you in here who have never started an intimate personal relationship with Jesus. You've never said, you know what, Jesus is my Lord and my Savior, and I have questions about that. Can I just tell you, ask those questions. Oftentimes, there are just some questions that need asked so that they can get answered so you can move forward in your relationship with Jesus Christ. And I just want to encourage you, lean into that. Start asking those questions. This is a great place to ask spiritual questions. There's some of you, you've been around for a while and you know more than you think you know, and you're going, I just don't know enough. And I'm just kind of level with you. I'll tell you what I tell my church. Fellas, help me out here for a second, but play it cool. I'm just talking to the guys. How many of you in here, you like women? That's good. Put those hands up. If you didn't, we'll talk. How many of you knew everything there is to know about a woman before you asked her to marry you? Notice there's no hands. We still don't know who we married. She's on her 5th personality. And we've made a commitment to all of them. Don't know how many there's gonna be, but we're here for them. It's a kaleidoscope of personalities, and we've learned to make each one happy just in time for it to change. Can I level with you? I do not know nearly enough about women. I am still learning an awful lot about my wife. I just knew enough about her to know I didn't want to spend another day without her. Do you think you're going to understand all there is to know about an infinite God? But do you know enough to know that you need him and that your life is better when it's found in him? If you're here today and you've never started a relationship with Jesus Christ, you should start it. And you should start it fast. To the rest of you in here who already have a relationship with Jesus Christ, the Bible has commands, expectations of its believers, and right now the doom scrolling is getting in the way. And so can I ask you guys to do something that will maybe put you way out of your comfort zone in just a second while they're singing a song. It's a long song. It's like 7, 8, 9 minutes. And that is a good thing. I'm not throwing shade. I love it all. Yeah. What I'm saying is you've got like 9 minutes to do some real work with God. Because you just heard a sermon and you're going, yeah, we should do something. And then you're going to walk out of here and there's going to be 1,000 distractions. So what you need to do in this moment is you kind of need to dig down deep. And you need to have like a spiritual conversation with your spouse, with your kids. So here's what I want to encourage you to do. Over this worship song, just a second when everybody else is praying, I want to encourage you, fathers, would you come down here, whether your family comes or doesn't, would you just come down here and go, God, I'm gonna change the course of my family. And I'm gonna need your wisdom and your guidance on how to do it, because you can do the right thing and you can do it in the wrong way. You're gonna need the Holy Spirit's help. Maybe your wife would come with you and you'd come down here and go, God, we're gonna have to be aligned as a family if we're gonna do this right. And so God, I'm gonna need her and I to be working together. Would you show us what it is that you want us to do and then give us the courage to walk it out? Maybe you just come up here and pray out loud over your kids and just let them hear you offering up prayers and petitions on their behalf. You could use this moment, listen, you could use this moment to kind of pour a foundation that you could build your family on for the future. Would you stand with me?
Thank you again for joining us today. I know that this message can be challenging and you might be sitting there with questions and wondering where you can get more resources. We have a page at riverhillscc.com/better where you can get a whole lot of technology resources, or if you're in our area, you can even come to our technology night this Wednesday night. But if we can support or help you along your journey, don't hesitate to reach out. Shoot us a DM or feel free to send an email to info@riverhillscc.com, and we'll see you again next time.